I want to go over a couple of stretches for the lats. You know, the lats are a very big muscle. They're also chronically a very tight muscle. When the lats get really tight, they tend to help kind of pull people into this very inwardly rotated position. And the lats are kind of a tricky muscle group because you need to stretch them from more than one angle. You know, with a lot of back training, it's pretty normal to have horizontal movements like your rows paired with vertical movements like your pull up or pull down. So we need to go with the same approach if we're going to do mobility work or stretching work for the lats. So the lats, you know, they start up here in the armpit. Well, actually, they insert up here in the armpit, but they start across the entire lower thoracic spine. They attach into our iliac crest over here like they're this huge fan of muscle. So they kind of start this way, they come down, and they wrap back this direction. So we got to go at our stretching that same idea. So there's two stretches that I found to be really productive for the lats. So one is going to be kind of an overhead stretch that's going to go this way to support movements again like your overhead reaches, your overhead presses, your pull-ups, your pull-downs, that sort of stuff. So we're going to find a rack or some vertical support of some kind. This is going to look sort of like I'm going to try to do that human flag. I can't do it, but in theory this is how it would start. So I'm going to put my hand down here. I'm going to come up and across and reach over this way. Now what I want to do is keep my body very squared up. Ignore that. I'm going to keep my body very squared up this way, right? So I'm not turning into this yet. This is very important. If you look at how I'm lined up, everything is just this. I'm lined up with the rack. I'm just going up and overhead and I'm grabbing here. Okay, now I'm going to take an overhand grip on this one, but I kind of like taking an underhand grip on this bottom hand because what I want to do is I want to use this bottom hand to push. And as I push, you see how my hip starts to move away. I'm not really pulling with this top arm. This top arm is just sort of anchoring. Okay, so the movement doesn't come from me pulling up here. It comes from this movement down here at my hips. So again, like I said, the lats will run all the way down. So it's this bottom arm that's going to kind of control the stretch. So whether you hold it like this or use that underhand position that I said I like, all I'm doing is I'm pushing, and this hand up here is just anchoring. And I keep pushing my hip as far over as I can. That arm is just running directly up overhead. And then you're just going to maintain some static pressure. Now I can feel this running all the way down into my obliques because all that tissue still shares some of the same connective lines. So it's not just a single muscle that we're getting. So everything responsible for that overhead mobility is going to get pulled on this. But again, I can feel a ton right down in through here into those lower thoracic ribs. And I'm just going to stay there, and then, you know, I'll switch sides when I need to. So same idea, I would come over this way, overhead reach. And same idea, using that bottom hand, put that pressure in, extend that hip over. So I want to work that both directions, but I also want to get some level of front to back. You know, and again, because the lats kind of wrap this way, you know, when you do a row, it's not enough just to come back this way, but you actually want to get it to come here. So what we want to do is we want to now get this to open, not just by going this way, but we want it to get to come around to fully open that up. So what I've done is I've set a bench at like 60 degrees. I like a bench instead of a rack like this because a bench is a little bit wider. So it's going to give me that ability to, again, grab one side and anchor, and then grab the other side and push. Okay, so just like we did over here with that overhead stretch, this horizontal stretch, I'm grabbing here and here. I'm going to sit my hips back a little bit. Okay, I don't want to do this because now I've just gone into an overhead position again. So I want a still relatively horizontal position. I'm going to sit my hips back. If you look, so this is my anchoring arm right here. Okay. and I'm just gonna push. So actually from this side, this would be the easy way to look at it. So I'm gonna stretch, I'm standing on the right side of my bench. I wanna stretch my left lat. So I grab here. Okay, so I'm gonna go after my left lat. This right hand is gonna do the push, and this left side is just anchoring, so I can feel this right here. Okay, so right hand pushes, left hand just holds. And what I'm doing is I'm gradually trying to rotate my hips back, again, and that little rotation that goes into the last little bit of range of motion the lats produce, that wraparound effect. And I'm staying here and I've got that. I can steer it by, again, how hard do I push with this right hand, affecting how hard I rotate into my left side. Same idea, if I want to switch sides, I'm going to come over here. Now we got this opposite structure. So now I'm standing on the left side of the bench, trying to stretch my right lat. So both hands here, hips go back. I'm putting pressure in with the left hand, rotating my right hip kind of back, and that right hand is just holding on. But I'm not thinking about pulling. I don't want to get my bicep on this right side to fire up too much. I need this right side kind of relaxed. So by pushing with this left side, that's where the tension is. And the right side can just rotate into it. You know, these sort of stretches work really nicely, I found, even between sets. You know, I know a lot of people say if you stretch between sets, it lowers your power output, which is true, but if you're super tight and your range of motion sucks, and you can't get a good muscle contraction, I don't know that anybody cares about having your power output dropped by like 5 to 7%, which I think is what the research shows happens when you stretch between sets. If my range of motion is better, my contractions are better, I can sacrifice that 5 to 7% power output so my movement doesn't suck. You know, and then as my mobility gets better and better, then my power output can continue to increase. But so I really like these two movements. Listen, they pair nicely, I found, between sets of back training, just to keep blood flowing and keep that tissue nice and open. So give it a shot.